Welcome to the Effects Loop. I'm Scott.
I'm Ian.
We're keeping you in the loop of the guitar community. Hey Ian, you know who this week's episode is brought to you by?
I do not. You may as well tell me.
Our patrons.
Oh, yay!
You can check us out. I believe it's something like patreon.com/theeffectsloop. I don't actually know what the link is anymore because we got that theeffectsloop.com just gives you everything now, which is the early plug. So I don't actually know where to send you. I just assume it's Patreon like that. If you join at our $5 tier, do you know what you get?
Dude, I don't even know.
You get the episode early.
Oh!
As in, like,
$5.
about 15 minutes after we're done recording it, because that's how long it takes to edit. And you get it immediately. And you get to join a super secret group where you get to chat with the hosts of the show, give us show ideas that we ignore, and
This was going so smoothly.
I can't like falsely advertise what we do, but
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, join it. You get to see all about Chris's struggles with cats and his continuous search for an amp.
Tell me more.
Oh, it's very hodgepodge. I don't want to ruin it.
Looks like I'm going to have to join your $10 tier.
Ooh, our $10 tier is... I don't even know. You could join our $5 tier twice. Anyway,
you get next week's episode a week ahead.
Yeah, I guess so. All that goes to actually supporting the show too. So it funds all our hosting, everything that it takes to go into the show and keep it going is entirely Patreon driven now. So that is that. Ian, anything new with you?
New with me? No, not really.
I know something new.
Actually, I did get I don't know, some stuff with my pedal board. We don't need to get in.
You finally got your straps too.
Oh yeah, I got the strap. Wait, we talked about that last time. It took forever. Yeah, well, that was funny because I guess the fabric that I ordered my straps in was the thing that was causing the delay. Thankfully, you just looked at Sweetwater.com and pretty much every other strap that DiMarzio sold was in stock. So we just switched the order over, and I had my order. I was waiting for 5 months, and I had my order like 2 days later. So I feel like an idiot, but hey, I'm happy to have the straps.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Have I gotten anything new? I got some new stuff today.
You got some updates in your Quad Cortex.
Yeah, the Quad Cortex, I got the update today. 4 new reverbs, a fuzz face. There's some new amps in there. There's some new features I haven't quite figured out yet. The fuzz face is fun. It's close enough to do the job. I wouldn't say it's like perfect, but it sounds like a fuzz face. It doesn't just quite feel like one.
Got you.
But I was also I was using my Les Paul to figure it out, so that's like my least friendly guitar to fuzzes. So I don't know. Yeah, that's what's new in my world. That, and it's been 15 minutes. I officially don't have COVID. Hey.
That's good.
If anyone asks, I have not been feeling well for a few days, so I've just got my test results back and negative. So I'm just not feeling good for another reason.
Mm-hmm.
And Ian's happy because I saw him yesterday and I didn't wear a mask, so he's happy about that.
Yeah, true. Although I've had it and I've been vaccinated, so hopefully I'd be fine.
Yeah. So with that, should we dial into?
I should say for clarity, especially since this is going online, I caught it before I was vaccinated. I didn't have it after getting vaccinated.
My favorite is now everyone's saying that what was it? Nicki Minaj did that post of like my cousin in Trinidad got the COVID vaccine. And look what everyone went, your cousin got gonorrhea, buddy.
Yeah, hon, that's what we call an STD. He's lying to save face, and you just took the bait. Big time, and made an ass of yourself, at the global scale.
Yeah. You know what? I think we should spend the next 20 minutes just going through Twitter debunking things that people say about Twitter because we're clear, or about COVID, because we're clearly the experts here.
That is very true.
Yeah.
Yep. I do have a medical. I can't even say medical degree, let alone now. Yeah. The jig is up. I know nothing.
Oh, we found out.
Damn.
Sorry, guys. What I brought Ian on for wasn't actually what I brought.
I'm sorry. This week's medical consultant has gotten the hooked cane yanked off the stage treatment.
Yeah, you're still qualified enough to go on Dr. Oz.
Shots fired.
Shots fired at daytime TV host Dr. Oz.
Yeah. Because no one's firing enough shots at daytime TV hosts.
Yeah. No, not enough. But speaking of firing shots, Keeley just came out with the Compressor Mini.
Oh, dude.
Now, when you think of Keeley pedals, what's the first thing you think of?
I mean,
I think of compressors. Like that is the Keeley thing.
It's just an equivalent. Yeah, I mean that's
that or the Katana Boost, but
well, that's I think even just because of John Mayer anyway. It's just the Katana wouldn't be anything special if it wasn't on his board. Not that it's a bad pedal. I just mean like it wouldn't be hyped up. It's just a clean boost. But yeah, I mean it's the compressors. It's definitely the compressors. I think Keeley's done some cool stuff lately that hasn't really gotten any attention.
I think a mini compressor, especially with like the 2-knob, I'm a guy who just leaves his compressor on. There's not enough mini compressors out there actually, because it is often an always on pedal. So having it as a mini is a great option for a lot of people.
I agree, especially
an under the board option or off to the side, or all the flexibility a mini gives you.
Absolutely.
I guess. I mean, there's the Zodic SP. That's the only one. That's the only other one I can think of.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a mini Pulp and Peel in there.
Is there really?
There might be. Maybe don't quote me. There's the Pigtronics ones, right? Don't they have the
Philosopher's Stone? That one?
Yeah. There's that guy. There's two of them actually. There was a Philosopher's Stone, and then there was like there's another one, because when they shrunk them down, they went from 4 knobs to 3. And so I believe that there's 2 mini versions. One has the gain knob, and then one has maybe the blend or something. I can't remember. Yeah, like you're saying with mini compressors, I mean, just like with any other pedal, it pays to have options. And when you're starting to take away knobs and features like that, you're going to want a compressor that you vibe with. You know, the less control you have over it, like, it's important to have options.
Yeah, I'd also just say for the average guitar player, actually not having options is actually the right move.
That's true too. Absolutely.
Because most of us don't know how to set a compressor correctly. It's like the classic joke. It's like, I spent an hour dialing in my compressor before I realized I didn't have it on.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So this might hit the point. I mean, $129. And for the first 1,000 units, which is probably already sold out at this point, they had a special black neon limited edition, which looked great.
Great looking pedal. If you ask me, I think I would probably personally prefer the white. That's just my own personal preference. But that black with the blue and the pink sort of like cotton candy kind of stripe there looks great.
It's retro. Very retro, which is very in vogue right now.
Makes me think of like the DRV or something, like some of those colors that they offer in the DRV.
Interesting.
Which we talked about last week.
Yeah, we did. You know, I still haven't plugged it in.
Yeah.
I've gotten 3 new pedals that I have not plugged in. That shows you like just how dialed into the quad cortex I am these days. That I don't even like plugging the expression pedal into the thing. That's how like dialed into it I am right now.
Yeah. Well,
when it doesn't lose power.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about that real quick. The first time
they heard it last week. They heard it last week. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, I mean, totally. Yeah, I tuned in.
You weren't even there, Ian. You didn't even go to church that week.
I wasn't even there. It makes you think of an old Whitest Kids You Know sketch. Yeah. You ever watch that?
Actually, I haven't.
Mom, can you make me a sandwich? Mom, what? No, what? No, I wasn't even there. He's playing video games with his friends. And the sketch is that like he is the character in the video game, and they're playing like Call of Duty or something like that. So everybody else is like crouched, and he's just standing up in the middle of the field, like yelling at the top of his lungs over his mic to his mom in the background, not paying attention.
Nice.
Yeah, that's great. Anyway, I think this Keeley compressor, the mini one. I mean, it's Keeley, and it's what he's known for, so it's got to be good.
It's got to be good. Yeah.
And yeah, with a name like Keeley, it has to be good. Now, another interesting thing about it too is how much gain it's got on tap for the level control, so you can use it as a boost. It says at any settings. I know, at least from what I've read, compared to its full-size big brother, it's missing the toggle for like switching between pickups.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got some interesting basically I just found a sweet spot there. So it should work pretty well with everything. And then apparently what's really intriguing about this too is because of the lack of tone control, it's got some circuitry that, I don't know, some mumbo jumbo, some magic wiring that will recover your tone even when it's being, squeezed like crazy. So don't really know how all that stuff works, but some bold claims. So
it just sounds like an easy button.
Yeah, exactly. I think it probably is something that can be used at all settings by the sound of it. Can't go wrong, and it's teeny. So,
all right. Well, let's head in the opposite direction. Boss also last week broke new ground with the IR200 amp and IR cabinet and the SY200 synthesizer pedals.
These are sweet.
I am very, very intrigued by the SY200.
Yep.
And
I think any synth pedal deserves attention. I've tried a lot.
Yeah, you had an Enzo for a bit there.
I did. That was kind of wacky. I got it in a trade, mainly to kind of help out a mutual friend of ours, actually. And definitely spent some time playing with it. I gotta say, synths are fun. Like, okay, so I've gone through the Line 6 stuff. I have an HX Stomp now. So any of their synth stuff I've played around with. And I had the M5 before that. So I had the legacy stuff, which of course is still included in the HX Stomp. But I've messed with that. I've done the whammy pedals. Almost every single one of them I've tried. And I've done some pitch stuff inside the Kemper. Trying to think of, besides the Enzo, if there's anything that I've missed. And while those effects tend to be just a lot of fun to use, I've always had a problem with the tracking. So to me, that's going to be the real tell here is how well Boss nails that. Monophonic tracking has never been a problem for anybody.
Oh, wow. Electro-harmonics.
Well, I suppose that's true, although
I mean, that's part of the joy of having a POG,
part of the legacy.
Yeah,
exactly. I was going to say,
it's the bad tracking is part of what makes it sound good.
Yeah, exactly. So they've gotten to a point where you can't really touch that. But even with like the Enzo and some of the newer stuff, like the polyphonic tracking and all that stuff, even the digital capo style pedals and all that kind of stuff, it just it sounds like garbage. I've told you this, off the podcast record before, but the best digital capo that I've ever used, like in that realm of things, is on the Kemper. Nothing else comes close to it.
And I still refuse to even use that. So
I mainly really just used it for like an E flat button for my Strat. It's the Hendrix tuning, and it sounds fantastic. So obviously with a synth pedal, they're not claiming to do that, but it's the tracking that allows these pedals to work so well. So even if the effects sound really, really, really great one note at a time, I'm very curious to see how it's going to hold up in polyphonic tracking.
Well, I mean, this is taking, the SY1 and the SY300 were both heavily loved pedals. And so by bringing this down into, I think, frankly, this is about the ideal size of a multi-effect like this. Like the standard Boss one and done sound effect was not real. I was just like, it's one trick pony.
Yep.
I can't see myself doing that. Yeah. At this size where I have presets, I can swap it out with the TRS MIDI, all those kind of things. This suddenly opens up a new spot where I'm like, well, maybe if I toss my Pog and, make a little bit more room, I could come up with some creative stuff for this. Like, so
absolutely,
this form factor and size is right where I'm thinking is a lot of people are going to jump all over it. Whereas I think the 300 was just too big for what it was. Because you have to commit a lot of board to it. Also, I mean, coming in at $300, I mean, it's still very much within the realm of possibility for most of us.
Definitely, and it's I believe it's the same form factor as their 200 level or 200 series delay and reverb that are already out.
Yep.
I think they've got a modulation as well at that size. So they're definitely just kind of continuing to build out this 200 series. Super cool. And, both of us use direct rigs. And so, I mean, let's not forget to mention the amp sim. This is an IR loader. It can operate as just an IR loader or as an amp sim. Offers some unique capabilities with that. They're saying that you can run 2 IRs at the same time on one amp, which is interesting. So if you're trying to mix your speakers or or you want to combine a longer IR with a shorter IR or whatever you want, there's all sorts of customizable things. They've collaborated with Celestion. And so out of the box, it's definitely going to be coming with some great IRs already. I mean, that. So it's intriguing.
I'm legitimately curious how good these are going to sound, because here's the rub. Boss's stuff has always run at 32-bit processing instead of 24-bit, so they've always kind of advertised our processors are a lot more powerful. Sure. And so by doing that, plus the 500 millisecond IR length, makes me really wonder here how good it's going to sound, because I think the Iridium went with that long of IRs too, where normally impulse responses are 20, 30 milliseconds. They're not very long.
Yeah, so, I will say I had an Iridium there for quite a while, and I was a big fan.
Yeah, and if I recall correctly, it wasn't they used Celestion IRs, or was it Ownhammer IRs? They used the third-party IR as well. Yeah,
I can't remember.
I mean, that at the end of the day, honestly, is probably the smartest thing to do, is just simply do a licensing deal with a known IR company.
Definitely.
Just because then you're giving industry standard, the predictability of, okay, if you want something different, like we were joking about this, the Quad Cortex update came out again. I was like, oh, no 4x10 cab still. I want a 4x10 cab because I like a super reverb sound.
Well, and frankly, in a world that is starting to now get more saturated with amp and cab modelers, it just helps to have a known name like there that isn't just Boss again. I mean, we know Boss can do great stuff. They've done great stuff longer than just about anybody, but
I think the thing that separates this from some of the others, one, both, if you were comparing this with the ACS1 from Walrus or the Strymon Iridium, right? That's the existing space, same price point for all of them. By adding or coming out with actually 8 different amp models instead of the 3, that is an area of sort of separating them away.
Definitely. And there's also 3 bass cabs in there too.
Yeah, and I really could see, bass players finally picking one of these up and really loving it too. So definitely. I also asked the question though, is this too late to the market?
That's a good question. Where I stand, I don't think that there is going to be a too late for amp and cab modelers right now. Of course, I mean, we both play in the worship space pretty heavily, which is even still continuing to convert more and more to direct rigs. But for those that have already adopted them, I mean, it is really quite difficult to go back. And so the more improvements that we can see, and like I was saying with the Keeley stuff, like the more options that you've got, I think everybody wins. And as everything out there continues to get smaller and smaller tech wise, when you can pack 8 quality guitar amps and 3 bass, quality bass amps into such a small form factor, I think everybody wins. Now in terms of how many units do they expect to sell day one, that's another kind of thing. That's another question. But I will root for any company that is trying to develop these, means of running direct.
Yeah, I also wonder, is this just them repackaging what they did in the GT1000?
As in, not much is different, maybe some new IRs?
Yeah, like because they had their no-name amp models there. Like that was the classic thing that everyone kind of ripped on them for, was they didn't actually they just did Crunch as their amp name in the GT1000, but a lot of people liked it. But at the same time, the GT1000 didn't really catch on.
Sure.
Or at least, it was kind of late to the market. Like the Helix had already been around for ages at that point, and there's other players in the space. But at the same time, we were watching, people gush over the Quad Cortex, and that's sure. Late to the market, all things considered. So there's
good
room
point.
to push
Although
things
the
out.
Quad Cortex, of course, takes a different angle and joins the Fractal full-size Helix, that category, Kemper, by doing everything at once. That's one thing that is interesting too, that kind of would separate this, I would say, from the Iridium or the ACS-1, which are probably its most immediate competitors, is that it will function as an interface.
Oh, I missed that.
That is definitely, one selling feature that would kind of set it apart from the pack. They're claiming that it should even work with iOS devices because It's got USB out. So that right there, if you're trying to do some portable recording or just looking for like a really easy way to track for demos, that right there is great. I mean, you can even just run a USB port out of your entire board and record that way, which is great.
Because, most people don't have a recording interface right off the bat either, so that's just another place to do work with it.
From what I've seen, I've not seen any other specifics about the cabs. I know when Strymon launched the Iridium, they were very clear about what they were trying to emulate. That they were trying to emulate real world amps with real world cabinets. I don't know that Boss is necessarily taking that angle. So your theory,
they're not too far off. Their names are Classic Clean, Tweed, and Class A.
Yeah, it's true. It just doesn't seem like they're trying to claim that it's going to sound exactly like a specific amp.
Yeah.
They're
getting the
it'll
gist
fit a class, but that's what the old Helix stuff sounds, sort of the same thing.
I think part of the idea with that too is just simply that's what IRs let you do.
Good point.
Is if you're like, hey, I want a Vibrolux, or I want a Deluxe, or I want a Champ. The argument is the amps don't sound that different. I know there's
that's
differences.
A good point.
But
there's differences in the tone controls and things like that, which Strymon does emulate in their Iridium.
But by having different speakers, you can kind of approximate some of that, just definitely. Right off the bat.
Sort of also begs the question of, obviously, it's nice to sort of have the option to try and go for a sound that you already know and love, and that's great. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, a good sound is a good sound. And if putting a label on it is going to keep you from trying it, there's downsides to that too. So,
that's a fair argument. That's an argument against the how we get obsessed with the brand names on.
Yeah, exactly.
On things, or is this a Bassman, or is this a Twin, or those kind of things. And it's just don't get too hung up on it. Now, on something I would like to get hung up on for just a minute here. Fender launches their Player Plus series, showing new finishes and pro quality specs, including noiseless pickups, locking tuners, rolled fretboard edges. Is this the guitar we've wanted from Fender this whole time?
That's a great question.
Because let's run it down real quick. There's the Player Plus Strat, which is locking tuners, 3 single coils. It comes in a couple of cool colors. And was there anything actually? a 2-point tremolo system, modern C neck. The HSS version comes with this unique looking humbucker. We'll talk about. Let's put a pin in that. Let's come back to that humbucker for a minute. And there's a push-pull splitter for the humbucker to get some more options out of there. The Telecaster is a modern C neck. Your standard sort
got
of
a push
finishes.
pull on the telly too, even on the standard telly, which is interesting.
Yeah, you've got a Nashville telly in there. You've got a active precision bass, active jazz bass, active bass, jazz bass 5, and some really, really cool finishes in here, like unique bursts or fades. There's some metallics and candy
Definitely.
apple green in there is one of the ones that's really cool. Some of them come with 12-inch radius fretboards as well. So, okay, having said that, is this the guitar we've been wanting from Fender?
I can't quite tell. My almost everything in me is going to say yes. I mean, first of all, the differences between for a credibility standpoint, I do own a 2017 American Pro Fender Strat. I do love the guitar. It doesn't touch my PRS. Now, as an owner of a Fender American Pro series, there's not too much difference in the fit and finish between that and a good quality Mexican Fender. But it's hard to justify the price sometimes. So the rolled neck edges like that, that is one definite key difference that does set up apart the Fender American Pro series. So that's going to catch that up right there. You're looking at a $1,000 price point here. So basically right in between what we've known the Mexican series to be and the American Pro, although I don't even know if they technically offer they've changed their names over the years, but so it's sort of the right in between, and it offers the features of both. We've seen noiseless pickups in the Mexican series for a while now. You can take that or leave it. I know that's just going to be a personal preference thing. That's fine. But the locking tuners, they've offered those on the Mexican guitars for forever now. It blows my mind that Fender isn't just offering that as a standard. And I get that sort of purists are, know what they're wanting from a series. So this is I think this is clever because it allows them to keep their current series alive and well while offering sort of a bridge between.
It lets them upsell you on a lot of mods that you always wind up seeing people do anyway.
Yeah, well, speaking of the telly, the push pull on that telly changes the polarity of both. So when you have it in middle position and you're running both pickups like that, you can pull on that toggle to switch between series and parallel wiring, which is great.
Which is normally
that's
normally the 4-switch telly mod,
right?
That a lot of people do.
That's a clever thing, and it just looks like a normal telly. It also offers them to add some fun finishes too. The thing that I'm just sad about, though, is that half of these things I feel like should just kind of come standard these days anyway. So it'd be great to be able to offer these in some of the classic finishes that we know and love, and not have to just look completely different. These finishes are cool though, and it offers some variety for people who want something different too.
You've still got the 3-color sunburst and the Olympic pearl in there. So I mean, there are some of the classic finishes that are still there, but they're it lets them differentiate a little bit. That a newer finish also comes with the newer features.
Definitely. It helps them pop off the wall at a guitar store. Someone's going to walk in and know exactly what that means when they see this new finish they've never seen before. And that's great. I mean, it's smart from a marketing standpoint.
And they didn't go too metal with them or any of that kind of stuff too, where it's like, I can see a brand purist still picking one of these up and liking it.
Definitely. And, especially with some noiseless pickups and all that kind of stuff, if that's what you're into, there's pros and cons. I actually had a Nashville style telly with noiseless pickups that I absolutely loved. I didn't love the telly. I loved the pickups.
I don't have a great story with that telly since I sold it for you and had a nightmare shipping it and issues. But
that was a bummer.
Yeah, it was a bummer.
But what was also a bummer was that the neck pickup on that thing kicked the snot out of the stock pickup on my Fender American Pro. But I got a Lambertone's HSS loaded pick guard that solved that problem right away.
Yeah.
This is interesting. I've not seen anything about what the nut's made of, or it's not making any claims on materials. But
yeah, it's going to be some of. It's more of the same. I mean, it's same materials coming out of the Mexican factory, and here's the other fun part is like the locking tuners they're throwing on have been drop-in replacement on these things for ages. If you just buy them. But now you don't have to do it. Now you can just go and buy a guitar and it's ready to go. And I mean, this is a more attractive feature set to me than the old Deluxe series that used to be out there. So I think these are going to sell really well and also really attract a lot of people who are going, yeah, I'm not quite ready to jump to American Standard for whatever.
I agree. I absolutely agree. It'll be interesting to see if there are any noticeable changes in the hardware between this and like what we already have seen in the Mexican series.
Some of the bridges are upgraded.
Oh yeah, with the 2-point. Yeah, that's true.
Even on the bases, you get the high mass bridges. So
yeah, they are the thick mass like saddles from what it looks like. That I mean, we know they're kind of made more cheap on the Mexican side of things, but you see that on the Fender Elite. I'm not, just as an aside here, the biggest fan of their locking tuners on the Mexican series.
Really?
I just find them, I like the locking tuner. It's definitely a genuine stab at them. They work without question, but they are just finger tighten kind of thing. And
what locking tuners are not finger tighten?
I love my PRS locking tuners. I gotta say it.
I have a harder time locking the tuners on my PRS than I do on any of my like Kluson style.
Can I ask you this though?
Yeah.
But hey, well, I shouldn't even ask you. I should just what I should say is, I don't know when it's tight enough on that style.
On this style? Oh, I find them easier to get torque on. I always find
those ones actually stick out even further away from the guitar, so you can get more of your fingers on it. The Fender ones that were on my telly were a lot more close to
for
the back of the tuner.
Those that can't see the video, I'm holding up my Titan at Ian right now with some Godot locking style tuners, which the Fender ones are not that far different from.
Yeah, they're a little thinner though. That wheel, the thumb wheel, is a little thinner, tighter to the body, which is you just get less of a grip on it. So I don't know. We'll see. That being said, it's still definitely a locking tuner. It's a big step up from a non-locking tuner, if you ask me. So I don't mean to complain too much. I'm getting pretty nitpicky about what I'd otherwise be very excited about.
It really depends to me of how well they roll the edges on these things, because I think that will be a big difference for people that they'll pick it up and go, oh, this is comfy. But at the same time, it is a 12-inch radius, so it is going to be a very modern feeling neck. So the vintage purists are going to probably scoff at that pretty hard, especially you, Mr. 7 1/4.
Well, that's true. I mean, I like the 9.5 as well, for sure. We'll see. One thing that really disappointed me about my Fender American Strat too is the neck just wasn't seasoned. It moved around on me like crazy, so I was getting fresh sprout first couple of years. That being said, I was not kind to it. I lived in a studio apartment for like 7 months with a full-on furnace, and so there was, I mean, the spit was getting sucked out of my mouth. It was so dry in there. But still, that being said, I'm going to expect the same kind of thing out of this series. And when you start rolling the edges, that stuff becomes even more obvious. So.
Wait, you got a 2017, right?
Yeah.
Was that Pal Faro?
Nope.
Still Rosewood?
Still Rosewood, yeah.
Okay, that kills my theory that they had to switch to Pal Faro so quickly that they were using some new wood that wasn't seasoned very well.
Oh, well, I mean, that could still be the case, although it wouldn't have covered my case. But yeah.
Well, let's move on to probably the thing you and I are both most interested in actually picking up and trying. Squier has expanded its classic vibe line with a classic vibe late 50s Jazzmaster.
Awesome. Just awesome.
Proper Jazzmaster, a vibrato. It looks like a Tune-o-matic bridge. So it does fix that. It's closer to sort of the classic player setup, which doesn't exist anymore. But so the Tune-o-matic with a Squire vibrato still has the rhythm circuit, still has proper Jazzmaster pickups.
Yep.
And comes with an anodized pickguard on both the Sunburst and the white.
Yeah, the gold. Those fancy gold metal pickguards. Dude, they look slick.
Do you think this
$460?
You think this will kick off the J Mascis as everyone's favorite Squire?
I don't know if I'm qualified to comment on that.
Part of me still wonders, I think the J Mascis is still kind of what people actually want when they think they want a Jazzmaster. They actually want P90s. They actually want, some of that kind of stuff. But at $460 out the door, I mean, that's what Chicago Music Exchange has them listed as right now. Are they in stock?
I saw them advertising them on Instagram, so I would bet that they've got a couple.
In stock. Maybe I should go over and check it out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the narrow tall frets, which I'm never super hot on, but...
I could do narrow tall.
Yeah.
I could do narrow tall. Won't be too bad. I mean, that's the vintage.
Yeah, it's the vintage feel.
It's the late 50s feel, so... But, yeah. Dude, I just think this is solid. It's not... I mean, listen... The interesting thing about a Jazzmaster anyway, that we've kind of all come to agree on, is that no matter where you buy it from, unless you're spending like $4 or $5 grand on it, you're modifying it.
You often got to put a little bit of work into them. I mean, these come with a Mustang bridge, so it should already have... Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, it already... I mean,
I bet you the vibrato flops like crazy, because like the Japanese ones did, where just you need to replace the collet and arm with something a little tighter. But outside of that, maybe put locking tuners on it.
That's about it. Yeah, I mean, it's got all of the... I mean, yeah. A Jazzmaster is always going to be a little bit finicky out of the box, like I said.
It's going to be finicky even after you've modified the hell out of it. It's still going to be a finicky guitar.
So you may as well pick a solid looking one up for $460, right? And then down the line, you've saved yourself some dough to spend on your upgrades if you need them.
Yeah, it's so easy, especially in the Jazzmaster world. Parts are so expensive. The good parts are. I mean, a Mastery bridge on its own is like $200.
Right.
So I can see someone buying one of these and spending $1,000 on it.
Definitely.
So
and then, yeah. Which, I mean, ultimately, what do you think the difference would be between starting at like the pro level Jazzmaster, American, and doing the same modifications?
Well, here's the thing: if the old thing was back in the day, the American Vintage reissue, whatever AVRI, that one didn't really need to be touched. The Johnny Marr didn't really need to be touched.
Sure.
Those came out of the box playing well enough, and people usually bought parts from those to modify the cheaper ones. I don't know how the current, American Pro or the American Ultra. I know the American Ultra is supposed to be just amazing, but it's also a departure from the vintage specs. So
I would have to guess that's running around the $1,800 mark, right?
Oh, if not more, yeah.
If not more,
yeah.
So you're looking at 5-6 times the price here.
Yeah, but I don't. Let's not get caught in the art of false equivalency that people love to do, where they're like, "Hey, I just bought a Firefly and I put $200 into it, and it plays better than any Gibson you can ever find." Oh,
absolutely, yeah. And of course, I'm not even one of those guys. I mean, I own 2 PRSs. I know I think it's worth it to spend good money on a good guitar for sure. But I think the Jazzmaster sort of has its own angle with this, just because, at least in a lot of our minds, it's something that a lot of us already preconceived. We just know we're going to be putting money into it.
Yeah.
So it's worth checking one out if it's going to be good enough at a $460.
I mean, the real thing is the vibrato and the bridge good enough on its own?
Yeah.
If those sound foundations are solid, then it's a good mod platform. If you're shaky there, walk away. Find a better
Yeah.
guitar that fits what you're looking for.
Now, they did say that it's non-locking. So if that's a feature out of the Trem that you're looking to make use of, that's going to be
Most
a bummer out of the stuff.
people don't know how to set that up properly anyway.
Most people, exactly. I mean, you'd have to have a tech do that.
The locking trim's only there for if you break a string.
Yeah. Yep.
Or, I mean, that's the main purpose why it's there. I never used mine.
I mean, no other guitar with a Trem on it has that kind of thing anyway.
Oh, the
right?
Master Vibrato gets rid of it.
Well, yeah.
It's something that rattles if you don't have it set up right. So it is something you got to dial in.
Yeah.
I mean, it's super easy to dial in. You just sit there and adjust the screwdriver until there's just a hint of pressure.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, check these out. Definitely. I'm excited.
Yeah. The last comes from Fender Japan, which I am not sure is actually going to find its way over here, but the Squire Katana is coming back. This is an interesting old school design from, what is it, 1985 they did it, and it kind of failed.
Yeah. You're probably not going to get too much out of me for this.
It looks like a PV.
Yeah, it does.
It's of that era. If you know what a Squire Katana is, you might be all over this. It's a signature model for a bass player, Hama Akamoto. I apologize for pronouncing your name wrong. It looks trippy. It fits with an aesthetic.
Yep.
It's a P bass, technically.
7 1/4 inch fretboard radius on that bad boy.
Yeah.
Slightly smaller, 32 inch scale length from the original.
Oh. There you go.
You know, so it'd be playable. It'd be fun to play. It's definitely, a very specific look though. So
yeah,
it's got the what do they call it? The ashtray, or is that no? That's the telly thing. It's got the like the where it covers the saddle cover thing.
I think that's still called. I would still call that an ashtray.
Okay. Yeah, so it's definitely a very specific look. It's kind of a cool, like, vintage edgy kind of thing. It's not like too.
See, that era, the aesthetic from that era, either triggers in your brain, oh, hey, that's old and cool, or that is cheap. There's no in between. Or like I'm from that generation where everyone knows PV as like the dusty piece of equipment that's just been in somebody's basement and left over and is half broken. Yeah. That's what I think of PV as, and I know people older than me think of PV as like the great value brand.
Well, they got to see it before it was old and dusty in somebody's basement.
Yeah, and I mean,
we're a little young for that.
And then you had they tried to stick around, and then you had the undercover boss stuff. Anyway, so just whatever. My perspective on life does not gravitate towards PV stuff at all, but.
Yeah, I will say the finishes look pretty sick. That it's got like almost like a shell pink kind of thing from what I'm seeing. I don't see a close up on it, so I don't know if it's like glittery or if it's more like a flat color or whatever. But I don't know. The more I look at it, the more it's sort of intriguing me. But yeah.
It's kind of really intriguing me. The Virtuo.
What's that?
From Emerald Guitars. This thing is an oddball. It is an acoustic guitar.
With humbuckers.
With a carbon fiber body.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting.
So it sits in that world of like the Taylor T5 and maybe the Acoustasonic, sort of a hybrid in between acoustic and an electric guitar.
Mm-hmm.
But this offers Fishman Fluence pickups, which comes with its own tons of fun, has a Graphtec Ghost piezo system, and also has a 13-pin MIDI synth voice output.
Very, very interesting combination of features here.
This screams I busk with tons of reverb, doing two-hand tapping and hitting the guitar kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's immediately what I think of with this.
I mean, it will not hit any sort of. I mean, it doesn't look like any acoustic, any classic acoustic at all. Carbon fiber body instantly stands out. It's got a straight up electric guitar, bridge and saddles configuration. It's also, interestingly, it's got a compound radius fretboard, so it's probably going to play more like an electric as well, which is frankly kind of appealing to me. That would be appealing to me to see in more acoustics, because as a guy with smaller hands, and as a guy who just likes the feel of electrics more, it would be nice to see that on more acoustics. But this is not going to look like any. I mean,
now do you $3,600 to $4,000 want this?
No, no, I don't even $800 want this, but it's got some interesting features, that's for sure. I'm just not the target for it.
What do you think about the sound hole location by taking the shoulder out and putting a sound hole there?
I think it's very interesting. We've seen it on a few, like Taylor's got a series with the holes up, up there too. I don't even know. I'm trying to remember if I've ever played one. I'm sure that I have at CME sometime.
Okay. Pro tip: if anyone ever tells you we put the sound hole there so that you can hear it better, hand the guitar back to them and thank them for their time and move on.
I mean, that doesn't mean the guitar sucks. It just means
just means that whoever's telling you about that guitar does not understand what a hole does on a guitar, because the sound doesn't come out from that. It comes off of the big top moving air. Like a speaker. And that's our acoustics lesson.
I mean, I think, when they have the pickups in the guitar like they do, they had to. I don't know that they have a choice.
I think it's going to sound great, to be honest with you. I think it's going to sound fine. It's going to hit all those buttons. I think it's going to be better than an Acoustasonic or whatever the...
Yeah, it's almost got like a parlor size thickness to it from what I'm seeing in the photos.
Yeah.
So it looks like it's got some more depth in the body than an Acoustasonic. So it's gonna have the right feel. It might actually resonate more like a normal acoustic. Although I don't know if it really needs to.
Yeah, you can also get 2 Acoustasonics for that price point, though.
But do you want 2 Acoustasonics? I walked into Guitar Center and tried one, and was so disappointed with the fit and finish of it. I had a conversation with the sales guy there, and he said Fender's not going to do anything about this. They can't take it back. They can't service it. It's not. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, even if I were inclined to be interested in the Fender Acoustasonic, which I guess admittedly I was intrigued by them. I still am intrigued by the concept. As somebody who runs a direct rig and all that stuff, it's nice to have, and frankly, because it plays like an electric guitar, if it sounds convincing like a good acoustic and plays like an electric,
I don't know, man. I mean, they've been trying to sell us Ovations since we were teenagers, saying they play like an electric guitar.
Yeah, I'm still gonna try it.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Yeah, this even on looks alone, I get that that's somebody's vibe out there for sure.
Yeah. Should we move on?
Yeah.
So, following new releases, Synergy has come out with a new amp module for the high gain Diesel Herbert preamp module. So, if you are after that diesel sound and you already have a Synergy system, go check it out. $400. That's all I got to say. I mean, it's the Synergy system. It's a cool thing. Here's another one.
Yep. Orange.
Yeah. Orange has come out with the Super Crush 100, which is, I believe their quote is solid state done right. Basically taking, I believe it was the Orange Stamp 100, whatever their pedal board thing was. Orange Pedal Baby 100. That's the one they had.
Yeah.
Which people loved. Now putting it in a more traditional package for it. And frankly, coming in at a pretty reasonable price for $499 for the head version, $799 for the combo.
I think it's great. I am a little skeptical though about the amps lately. This is just based on my own limited personal experience of that. I've said I've been running direct for a while. One of my first attempts at that was a Hughes and Kettner can't remember exactly what model. It's one of the smaller heads that has the modeling option built in. The the option to like put a dummy load on it.
Though. This is just an AB power amp.
But it's got a cab out. It's got a cab sim.
Oh.
Option, which I should have. Yeah, I'm mincing words
cab
here.
Sim and
the cab sim built in is what I'm looking is what I mean to comment on. It's interesting to me. I'd rather probably have something that gives me more options than the built-in one. So, but I like that it's a feature.
I think the average question for a lot of us is just simply how does this stack up against like the Boss Katana, because that's kind of set the standard in terms of solid state amps these days.
Well, I think yeah, I mean that's a good point. One of the obvious kind of pros right out the gate. Well, I shouldn't say pro. It just depends on what you're into. But this just looks like an orange head. So if that's your vibe,
yeah,
they've got you covered.
It's your entry level orange.
Yeah.
All right.
And it's like the new Fenders, the solid state Fender stuff. I'm sure it's going to be lighter, more portable in that way, and you got your pros and cons on durability versus serviceability there, but.
Yeah, I mean, solid state amps tend to be pretty durable as long as they're designed properly.
Yeah,
it's where their transformers or current limiting stuff goes out because it just isn't set up properly. That's where it goes bad. All right. Yeah. Other recent news. This is not a new product, but it's a new packaging of it. Line 6 has announced that when you buy a new Helix, now they're including $500 for recording software, including Cubase Elements and Helix Native built right in when you buy a Helix Floor, LT, Rack, or Helix Control. So I asked the question, first off, are Helixes not selling now? Has the luster run out on them that people aren't buying new ones, that they have to now package new stuff with them? Because for a while there, they were charging you an extra, what was it, $400 for Helix Native? If you
Helix Native is $400 software. If you buy, if you buy HX Stomp, you get a discount code to get the full Helix Native for just $100. Mm-hmm. So, but this takes it even further. It's free if you buy the full Helix. I don't know. Yeah,
is this the sign of end of life for the Helix? That's the other kind of question.
I hope not. Let me just say I've been seeing nothing but greatness come out of Line 6 lately in their software updates. So I really think that people shouldn't be sleeping on the Helix right now. Maybe this is just the push that a next generation of players needs to kind of just get reminded of how awesome these things are. I have a hard time believing...
I've been having a hard time believing anybody buys a $1,500 floorboard and doesn't already have a DAW available to them where they need Cubase. But
well, that's true. I mean, anybody with a Mac though has GarageBand already. That's not to say that they can't.
And I mean, Audacity is already free, and there's a few things like that too. But there's
I
Reaper.
Think it's just interesting going with Cubase. I think maybe they're doing Cubase more of a favor.
Well, is Steinberg part of Yamaha?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question.
Because if it's just their ecosystem and they're just packaging like products together, right?
Yeah. Well, then they're not missing out on any money, really. If they, if they get to make that kind of decision, I am kind of curious. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's sort of equal parts. There's a bit of a wane in interest towards the Helix, but I'm not really hearing anybody talk about Cubase. So, it could be that.
Yeah, I'm trying to quickly scroll through their site and see if there's actually a reference back to Yamaha or not. But because Line 6 is all part of that ecosystem now,
right?
I mean, and you've seen like if you remember, Gibson bought Cakewalk for a little while there to try to make that part of their portfolio. I mean, there's always that whole, we want to package everything together and make you stay here, the way like Universal Audio is doing that now. Like just a bunch of people are. So we shall
I just say this real quick. If I think it's a great deal. Regardless of, whether one brand is waning or not, I'm telling you, Line 6 continues to release regular, fantastic updates to their Helix software. I'm a Stomp user now through and through. I had one a little while back and sold it and got back on board. And we've talked about some direct amps options, including one of the new ones we mentioned tonight. They're continuing to release brand new amp models that are significantly more nuanced than their legacy amps. They're offering new reverbs and all that kind of stuff that can really compete with the likes of Strymon and others. And now is a really, really great time to get an incredible amount of money's worth out of a Helix. We've had this conversation
also considering you can't buy a used Helix for the used market hasn't dropped out on them fully yet either. Like they're still $1,200 used, so they're not depreciating that much.
Yeah.
I mean, the real thing, I would still rather get the backpack when they were doing that deal.
Yeah.
That $100, $200 backpack. I'd rather have that, but I also don't have a need for a DAW because I'm an idiot who already pays for Pro Tools.
Dude, hey, Logic Pro, enough said.
Yeah, enough said. Move on.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely, I can't say enough about Helix right now, though. What
By the
I
way,
really
Steinberg
want to
is
see out
part
of them,
of Yamaha Music Corporation.
Okay, so then it's just smart. It's smart of them, I guess.
It's
they're putting
them just
Cubase in
packaging.
more people's hands.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're not making any money off of
And
Cubase.
the cheapest current questioning on Reverb is $1,100. They're selling below $1,000 now. So that would explain where the value prop is now in this. Of okay, we need to bundle some software in here. I mean, personally, you and I were like this. As a guy who doesn't like hauling his gear back and forth, it would be great if I could just leave my Helix at church and then just use Helix Native when I'm at home, program it.
Absolutely. That is an incredibly powerful option. I mean, you can literally just recreate your entire rig in recording. And, of course, the benefit of a plugin
not take up your whole desk, too.
Right. And then, benefit of plugins as well is you can change it after you record. So that's it. Frankly, if I had a Helix anyway, a full-size Helix instead of the Stomp, that's how I would be recording anyway. It's just mirroring my rigs. Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're using in the recording projects that I'm doing primarily right now too, is Helix Native. It's fantastic. It's great. Yeah. So even just for, if you want a Helix and you don't have Helix Native, you get it for free. Yeah,
or give it to somebody. But but that's also, again, you're paying the $1,500 plus taxes right off the bat to get the full blown Helix instead of buying a used one.
That's true.
All right, last thing is rumors are swirling that Ikea is collaborating with the Swedish house mafia to create products that will, quote, democratize creativity and music production.
I am so excited to find out any details on this. This is such an intriguing.
It makes me think
really.
that what now there's what I hope it is, and then what I actually think it's going to be. I think it's going to be some
studio.
Well, that's kind of what I'm hoping it's going to be.
I know.
Because studio desks are such a ripoff for just a normal desk that has rack ears on it. And that's all it is. Like a tiered desk with rack ears. That's all it is. Ikea could totally make that. That's not hard to make. But as we move away from rack equipment, too, in the more producing world, one, I would love to see a desk that just has a keyboard tray in it for like a 63-key MIDI controller. Or if they started creating like musical accessories that you could add on, because there is the whole, look, you can buy the Ikea LAC or whatever they are, like the base model, you assemble it, it has a few Allen keys and the thing falls apart in a year, right? There's that Ikea. And then there's the high-end modular IKEA, where it's just a bunch of Lego pieces and everyone starts DIYing all their stuff. And like DIY studio desks from IKEA are already a thing.
Yeah,
you go
that's
to like
true.
is it IKEA Hacks?
Yeah.
Website where people actually tell you, hey, I bought these parts and this is what I made out of it. I kind of hope they're creating some type of modular system there that is more supportive of computer accessories that people use to make music.
Yeah, I think it's smart. There's really no information out there about this yet. It is really just they're trying to build hype for something that no one knows anything about. But let me see if I can find the line in the article that most intrigued me, actually. This says, we strongly felt, this is a quote from Swedish House Mafia. It says, we strongly felt a need to collaborate with someone who shared our vision of making it possible for everyone to create music at home. As artists and producers, we also understand the importance of a home studio setup and the needs and challenges many up-and-coming artists and creative have at home, right? So clearly there is a clear focus here on musicians. There was another line, though, that talked about, let's see. Yes, they say the starting point for the collaboration is the belief that while a lot of other people are now making music at home, they can quickly discover that a home is often built and designed to match totally different needs than the ones you might have as a music fan or creator, which is true.
I mean, we both struggled with this, with having to work from home from our desks that we initially set up to make music at.
Right.
And now I need to sit at this all day, every day, and my neck hurts.
Right.
Because it wasn't designed for Zoom calls. It was designed for playing music. So
yeah. Well, and let's also talk about the fact that studio desks weren't designed for home studios.
No, that's
They've
true.
not been from the beginning. The ones that are the ones that you were talking about, which is a normal desk with rack ears on it. And that doesn't fix anything either. And we've actually talked about this. I am in the process of designing and hopefully going to be building soon my own custom home studio desk for that reason. So, yeah, I am, like I said, I am really intrigued, but I would love to just actually find out any concrete piece of information on this other than hype. Yeah,
we'll see. It might turn into nothing. It might turn into something cool.
Sure.
We shall see. Well, with that is the news for this week. So thank you all for joining us. If you like the show, check us out at thefxloop.com. There you'll find a link to everything, including our Facebook group. You can go in that and chat about the episodes, make inside jokes that no one will get until the episode's actually out.
Also, suck it, Philip. Here I am once again.
Philip was invited tonight and he couldn't make it because he had to hang out with his wife. You can find our Instagram, our YouTube, our email. You can join our Patreon from there. You know what? Everyone just go to the group and just write "Suck it, Philip." Just do it. And with that,
make me happy.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys next week.
See ya.
Bye.
We are strong. We have to just keep dictionary. Why is negativity always drawn out? Pictionary, visualize love, energize lives together. We undefeated. A plan to make weathers, no gloves needed. When we weed into the mindset of achieving and believing in a community that remains happy. Never after, the world should be one. Hate annihilated, every heart is one. Love again. So, don't